Mr. Billy Goldner, a grad student in the Faculty of Communications, Arts, and Technology, will lead us in the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please be seated. I declare the October 2010 Convocation assembled for the granting of degrees. Mr. President, members of the Board of Governors and Senate, faculty, honored guests, graduate, and friends, my name is Brant Louie, and I am the Chancellor of this university. This is our 45th annual Convocation, and we are delighted and honored to have in attendance today a number of distinguished guests on the platform and in this audience. A special welcome is given to Chancellor Emeritus Dr. Milton Wong. Welcome all. This afternoon, an honorary doctorate of laws will be conferred on Pat Carney. Convocation is a proud academic tradition that honors an important moment of a transition and new beginnings. It acknowledges your efforts and celebrates your achievements. It is an important milestone that marks both an ending and a beginning. This year, our graduates and the university that has shaped your learning have something in common. Both of you are at the similar thresholds and an exciting new beginning. For SFU, it is the start of a new chapter of leadership as we welcome Andrew Petter, who officially takes office as our 9th President and Vice Chancellor. Andrew Petter is uniquely qualified to take up the mantle of leadership, having achieved academic excellence as a scholar and teacher, as well as having an outstanding record in public service. He is the past Dean of Law at the University of Victoria and the former Attorney General of British Columbia. We are in very good hands. Under President Petter's guidance, Simon Fraser University will continue to change, adopt, and provide the leadership to deal with the social, economic, and environmental challenges of the future. Since it was founded in 1965, Simon Fraser has built a reputation that attracts the brightest and the best in the arts, applied and health sciences, business, technology, and education, largely through its willingness to embrace innovation and changes as an essential ingredient for progress. As Benjamin Franklin put it, when you're finished changing, you're finished. Well, we're not finished changing, and we are not finished. The future offers new frontiers to be explored. These new beginnings means new choices, choices to help navigate and shape the future we build. I am sure you will have no shortage of advice as you make the choices about your future, including the advice I offer today. I encourage you to think about what you've achieved and what you will still accomplish, about what you have become and who you will be, about what you have contributed and what you still have to give, and the choices you make that will help to forge your own unique path. Excellence can be found both on the global stage, in the public spotlight, and in the day-to-day interaction in homes and communities. It can flourish through science, arts, sports, education, and community service. It can benefit millions or just a few. Over the years, I have come to recognize that while excellence can take many forms, there is one thing that is almost common to all those who achieve it, and this is a passion and an unbridled connection to the path they have chosen. My first piece of advice is to pursue what you are passionate about. You have a greater chance of being great at what you do if you love what you do. As comedian George Burns said, "I'd rather be a failure at something I enjoyed than be a success at something I hate." But it's not only about loving what you do, it's also about being proud of how you get it done. So my second piece of advice is, if you stay true to your own personal values and convictions and use them as a filter through which all of your important choices must pass, the choices you make will be the right ones for the path you should follow. The third piece of advice comes from that old saying that you are only as good as the company you keep. Or again, as Benjamin Franklin put it, if you lie down with dogs, you will wake up with fleas. So choose who you journey with wisely. Often you will find a successful journey depends more on who you choose to accompany you rather than where you ultimately go. The good news is that you have already made some very good choices about the company you keep. As graduates of Simon Fraser University, you are joining a global community of over 100,000 alumni who are dynamic people doing amazing things in the world. Our alumni have earned worldwide recognition for pioneering new frontiers, working to find balance and stability in shifting economies, battling climate change, and spearheading innovation to deal with global health issues. As you start out on your journey, you take with you the excellence of the strong, proud reputation of Simon Fraser University as part of your academic credentials. Your challenge and mandate is to make a contribution that builds this strong alumni legacy. Improving on excellence may seem a daunting, even impossible endeavor, both for our graduates who follow in the footsteps of our outstanding alumni community, and for President Petter, who takes on the leadership challenge of maintaining and growing our university's strong and proud heritage. But nothing in life worth achieving comes easily. Success, true meaningful success, is most gratifying when the challenges at first seemed insurmountable, but through perseverance, sheer will, and against all odds, obstacles are overcome and the impossible is achieved. This is the success for which your education here at Simon Fraser has prepared you. And this is the success I wish for all of you. Thank you and congratulations. I now call upon the president of our university, Professor Andrew Petter.
Mr. Chancellor, members of the Board of Governors and Senate, faculty members, honored guests, I offer a warm welcome and hearty congratulations to graduates, families, and friends on what is a wonderful day. This is your day, one that you have earned. It must feel like a superlative triumph, a glorious conclusion. And it is. But I hope you also leave today thinking that this is the most auspicious of beginnings. Education, as W.B. Yeats once observed, is not the filling of a pail, it's the lighting of a fire. I see the flame burning brightly in each of your eyes today. It is the fire that will sustain you in the years ahead. I was reminded of the power of that flame this past summer when my wife Maureen and I were packing as we prepared to take up the presidency of this university. As I was leafing through some files, I found a scrap of paper that my mother had sent me in the late 1990s while I was Provincial Minister of Advanced Education. On it was another quotation, this one from Nelson Mandela, and it read, "Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of a mine, that the child of a farm worker can become the president of a great nation. It is what we make of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another." Sadly, my mother is no longer with us. Yet this scrap of paper brought home how much she remains with me. She was a huge believer in education. She and my father not only implanted in me the value of universities, they also supported me at every stage of my educational journeys. And here she still was, as I prepared to embark on another educational adventure, ready to provide me with some wisdom that has lost nothing in the passage of time. In a message beneath Mandela's quote, penned in my mother's distinctive script, was written, "I found this as I was cleaning up. I thought you might want to use it when you need more funds in your ministry." I don't recall whether it worked at the time. Treasury Board then as now tends to be unmoved by such appeals. Yet there are two wonderful lessons to be learned from this little piece of paper. One is that we should stop once in a while to thank our mothers and our fathers and our uncles and our aunts and our spouses and everyone else who has believed in us and helped us to get where we are. There are many such people at this convocation today, fair bursting with pride at your accomplishments. Well, you should be proud of them too. You stand on their shoulders, and you should always remember them as you admire the view. The other lesson from my mother's note is the one she intended at the time, that education, more than any other force, has the capacity to lift the human condition, to improve any individual, to advance every organization. Education prepares us to make a better job of our own lives and to enrich the lives of those around us. In building our own capacity, we become better able to improve our workplace, our neighborhood, our community, indeed the whole world. That, beginning today, is your challenge. Having lit and stoked Yeats' fire, we now send you to take up Mandela's challenge of medicine or business or perhaps even of leading a great nation in a bold and better direction. But I also want to make it clear that we are not saying goodbye today. On the contrary, in this world you are likely to experience numerous changes throughout your working lives requiring new knowledge and skills. When those occasions arise, I want SFU to be there for you. I want you to count on Simon Fraser as your ongoing education provider, your guide, your lifelong partner in learning. I also hope you understand that just as you will continue to need us, we will continue to need you. I've long admired SFU for being student-centered, research-driven, and community-engaged, a wonderful university. As we strive to build on that record, your energy and ideas will be more valuable and important to us than ever. I ask you to stay involved, to help fashion our future, and to deepen and strengthen our community ties. Beyond this, we must never forget, us as a university or you as alumni, that the purpose of education is to expand our ability to help others, to contribute to the construction of a healthier, stronger, and more just society. Each one of you has the capacity to make such a contribution. You have the gifts of your birth, the support of the people who brought you to this day, and now you have a level of education that is available to only the luckiest people on earth. So let us resolve together, from this time and place, to join in a common commitment, not only to better ourselves, but also to strive each day to build a better world for all. In doing so, we might also be guided by Mahatma Gandhi's credo: live as if you were to die tomorrow, but learn as if you were to live forever. Once again, congratulations to you all.
The honorary degree will now be conferred. I am pleased to welcome Professor Judith Osborne, Vice President, Legal Affairs, and a faculty member in SFU's Criminology, to present the honorary degree candidate, the Honorable Pat Carney.
Mr. Chancellor, it is my privilege to present a remarkable Canadian, the Honourable Patricia Carney. Her contributions to our economic, political, and social well-being have left an indelible mark on this country. Born in Shanghai and educated at the University of British Columbia, she has been a role model of integrity throughout a varied and distinguished career. Curious, fearless, and independent, she was the first female business columnist to write for major Canadian newspapers, and she received numerous awards for excellence in business writing. These same qualities led to her success as an economic consultant and eventually to her election in 1980 as the first female Conservative Member of Parliament from British Columbia. In Pat Carney, Canada found a great asset. In politics, she discovered her professional passion. No request was too humble, no question too trivial, no task too daunting for the member from Vancouver Centre. She was the first woman to hold 3 senior economic cabinet posts. As Minister of Energy, Mines and Resources, she was responsible for negotiating the principles of the Atlantic Accord and for dismantling the National Energy Program. During her tenure as Minister of International Trade, she was the minister responsible for the Canada-US free trade negotiations. Her exceptional work on this portfolio was recognized with an award from the New York Bar Association. And in her capacity as President of the Treasury Board, she initiated the groundbreaking task force on barriers to women in public service. She was also the minister responsible for the Asia Pacific Initiative and a member of the Cabinet Committee on Priorities and Planning. Summoned to the Senate in 1990, she served on several committees, including the Senate Standing Committee on Aboriginal Affairs, where she furthered the cause of Aboriginal women. She championed the preservation of Canada's lighthouses and maritime history, her efforts culminating with the passage of an act to preserve heritage lighthouses. In recognition of her extraordinary dedication, the Heritage Canada Foundation created a new Governor's Award. She, together with her colleague Barry MacDonald, was its first recipient. Her generous spirit has also touched other causes. She has sat on the boards of major corporations, her cogent opinions valued by all, and her presence an inspiration to other women. No stranger to the debilitating effects of arthritis, she is the founding director of the Arthritis Research Centre of Canada and a tireless advocate for arthritis research. A fellow of the Royal Architecture Institute of Canada, Pat Carney has received many honours, including the Canadian Arthritis Network Award of Merit. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate of this university, I now ask that you confer upon Patricia Carney the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Pat Carney, by virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. The Honorable Pat Carney will be hooded by Dr. John Driver, Vice President Academics, and Ms. Kate Ross, Registrar.
Dr. Carney. Yes. Great to have you.
Congratulations. You ready to go?
No, we're going to do the signing first.
Okay. It is with pleasure that I now call on Dr. Pat Carney for her convocation address.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, honored guests, and graduates. You're not graduates yet. It's a privilege to be asked to address Convocation on the day that Andrew Petter has been installed as Simon Fraser University's 9th President and Vice Chancellor. So I'd like to congratulate him. I also want to thank retiring President Dr. Michael Stevenson and the Board of Governors for their part in bestowing this honor on me. It feels a bit like the first day of school, like exciting and a little terrifying. I'm often asked what I consider to be my proudest achievement in public life. During my 30 years of public service, I've been given the opportunity to accomplish a great deal. But in my view, my proudest achievement is that Canadians took the time to trudge to a polling booth in a school basement or a church hall from their home or on their way home from work to mark an X by my name on a ballot and give me their vote for Member of Parliament. Think of the power of that vote. Everything I've achieved in public life started with that vote. Canadians' attitude to politics today is polarized between apathy and anger. Many people feel that their vote won't change anything. One vote won't count, but they're wrong. I won my first federal election by 2 votes. I remember the CBC election night report, and in Vancouver Centre, Conservative Pat Carney defeated former Mayor Art Phillips by 2 votes. For 30 years, people have told me that they cast those 2 votes. They rode in from the cottage. They finished their hospital shift and they ran to the polls 5 minutes before closing. They lugged a tired, crying child from daycare to the polling booth in order to cast their vote. And they were right. They were the 2 votes. And those 2 votes changed Canada. I lost that first election on a recount by a narrow margin of 95 votes. But the momentum from that election night victory elected me to the House of Commons in the next 2 federal elections and subsequently called me to the Senate. My role in negotiating the Canada-US Free Trade Agreement, the Energy Accords, initiating RadarSat, our wonderful communication satellite, it's still up there, my efforts to strengthen BC's role in Confederation, and my private member's bill to preserve heritage lighthouses, dozens of other issues all sprang from those 2 votes. And yes, 1 vote can count. Our Conservative government proposed legislation that would limit a woman's right to an abortion, a very controversial, emotional issue. But Bill C-43 was poorly drafted. to appease conflicting views in the country, and I couldn't support it. Prime Minister Mulroney declared a free vote on the issue. The legislation passed the House of Commons. But when it came before the Senate, despite heavy pressure from my Conservative colleagues, I joined those senators who voted nay. The result was a tied vote. Under Senate rules, a tied vote defeats legislation. Bill C-43 became the first government bill to be defeated in the Senate in 30 years. If I had voted yea, we would have unfair and unenforceable abortion legislation in Canada today. So one vote did make a difference. I suggest Canada's greatest national treasure is our parliamentary system of democracy. We elect some of us to govern all of us, whatever our race, creed, or color. We have one of the most accessible political systems in Western democracies. Any Canadian citizen aged 18 years or older can be a candidate for federal office unless he or she has been convicted of a criminal offense that restricts that right. Anyone with $1,000 and 100 signatures can file nomination papers. He or she does not even have to be a member of a political party. When I first ran, I took out my first Progressive Conservative membership card, and my supporters raised the $200 and collected the 25 signatures that were necessary then. After I won in Vancouver Centre that nomination, one of my opponents for the nomination ran for another party in another riding and won the seat. He was an honourable MP who served his constituents well, and no one ever mentioned his change of party affiliation. Nor is experience necessary. The Progressive Conservative Handbook for Candidates posts this question: why do you want to run? My answer: because the Tories tell me that I'm an economic Joan of Arc who can save the country. Another question: well, what experience do you have? My answer: none, either in politics or being burned at the stake. Unlike other countries, the candidate doesn't have to be rich. The most successful candidate in a nomination race is the person who signs up the most members. The funds for pamphlets, posters, and buttons are raised by supporters. Once the election is called, there are strict limits on what candidates can spend or what supporters can contribute. If those limits are exceeded, the candidate and her official agent can go to jail. In Canada, you can't buy a person's vote. You must ask for it. Of course, sometimes that vote is not available under any circumstances. An example is the sweet-faced senior I approached while I was campaigning. When I held out my hand and asked her for her vote, she answered, "My hand will wither and drop off before I shake hands with a Conservative." Under current rules, taxpayers subsidize the federal election costs of all parties, even the Bloc Québécois, which is committed to breaking up Canada. Compare this with elections in other countries where candidates for office, both winners and losers, can spend millions of dollars. Volunteers are the core of our Canadian system. They put up the campaign signs and they knock on the doors to identify voters that might support the candidate and those that might not. They staff the phone banks and drive voters to the polls. They raise and record those campaign funds. They accompany the candidate on bus stops and street corners to meet potential voters. And they have a lot of fun. Once, as we careened over Burrard Street Bridge on the back of a flat-deck truck, bands playing, blue balloons bouncing, I asked a volunteer, "How did we ever get a license to do this?" He answered, "What license?" Many of those volunteers are here today. Thank you. Once you win, you represent all your constituents, whether they voted for you or not. As their MP, you learn the issues which trouble them. You share their joy and their pain. The heart of the riding is your constituency office, which is open to all. The constituency assistant seeks aid for desperate people and holds the hand of the person who is under deportation order while he awaits for officials to take him to the airport. My constituency assistant, Margie Lewis, is here today. In Ottawa, you are an honorable member, a lawmaker. Our democracy is based on the rule of law. Under our system, it is the role of the government party to propose legislation and the role of Her Majesty's loyal opposition to oppose those laws they wish to change. That tension produces the laws that govern us, at least until the next election. Politics is a collaborative profession. Cabinet ministers must achieve consensus on government policies, since if they can't support them, they must resign. That consensus, despite regional, linguistic, and ethnic differences, bands us together as a nation. MPs can make a difference through committee work and private members' bills. The ND party has yet to form a federal government, but BC NDP members, Don Black and Margaret Mitchell, initiated legislation that helps protect the security of women today. And of course, NDP MP Lynn MacDonald was allergic to cigarette smoke. She couldn't stand all that smoke in the NDP caucus room. The result is the ban on smoking in federal buildings today. Senators can make a difference by advancing issues that appear marginal to society. Two BC Aboriginal women, Wendy Lockhart Lundberg and her aunt Maisie Baker, brought to senators the astounding injustice that under existing Aboriginal rights, Aboriginal women do not have the protection of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. After years of Senate hearings and committee work reports, Canadian courts have ordered Parliament to correct this injustice. Now, it's Auntie Maisie's birthday today, and she's here with us. And the politicians whom your votes elect contribute to society as well as politics. The indomitable Flora MacDonald, Canada's first female Minister of External Affairs, now in her 80s, can be found in Afghanistan, Africa, Tibet, wherever, helping local communities. Our Conservative colleague Mary Collins, former Minister of Health, helped reform healthcare systems in Russia, serving as head of the World Health Organization for Russia before returning to Canada 3 years ago. Mary is with us today. And the late, great NDP MP Maureen Jewett served as president of this great university. Now, these are not patronage appointments. My critics will point out that my examples are all women. Men can and do speak for themselves. Women still tend to downplay their achievements, so I am grateful to Simon Fraser University for the opportunity to share our political experiences with you today. A final point. You leave here with more than your memories and your academic credentials for which you have worked so hard. You have your right to vote, a privilege denied many others in our global community. You have your freedom to participate in our political system. Treasure that privilege and that freedom. They're both free. And never forget how 2 votes changed Canada. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. You earned your doctorate many times over with that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carney. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of the ceremony, the Alumni Association will present a Simon Fraser University alumni pin to the graduates as they leave the stage. Our alumni are very important to us, and we are pleased that this symbolic presentation will launch them on their new role as alumni of SFU. Leanne Young graduated from Simon Fraser in 2006 with a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology and Communications. She is currently the Communications Officer with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation in British Columbia and acts as an independent multimedia marketing consultant. Ms. Young is a member of the SFU Alumni Association Board and serving her 2nd year as Board Treasurer. I invite Ms. Young to the lectern to bring greetings to the graduands.
Thank you, Professor Petter. Thank you, President Petter. Excuse me. First day, right? On behalf of the Alumni Association, we welcome you to SFU, and we are honored and grateful to have you serve as SFU's 9th president. It is my privilege and pleasure to congratulate all of you on your graduation. Today, as you begin your lives as members of the alumni community, you join over 110,000 SFU graduates worldwide. It is our hope that you stay connected to SFU and participate in the many opportunities that this great university will continue to bring to you. From financial planning benefits to young alumni networking events, watch for your alumni e-newsletters filled with offers and events dedicated to your continued success. Later this year, the new SFU Alumni Online Directory goes live, and I urge you to register in the directory to take full advantage of this, your strongest and most natural network. As you cross the stage today, I will be presenting you with an alumni pin, which I encourage you to wear proudly as a symbol of your achievement and your alumni status. Wherever life takes you in the future, we hope that you will keep the SFU spirit alive and well, and that you will stay connected to this community and your fellow alumni. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Before the graduands are presented individually to the Chancellor, Ms. Lindsay Galway, a member of the graduating class, will address Convocation. During her 2 years at SFU, Ms. Galway has completed a public health practicum in the Highland region of Bolivia, working as teaching assistant and research assistant, and has been involved in various environmental and social justice groups both on and off campus. She is most thankful for the opportunity to learn and work with inspiring students and professors in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Ms. Galway will continue her graduate studies at SFU, examining the links between climate change, water quality, and human health. Today, she will be graduating with a master's in public health, and therefore it's now my pleasure to call upon Lindsay Galway. Lindsay?
I want to begin by congratulating my fellow students and by thanking the friends, family, and faculty that have supported each one of us along the way. My experience has been shaped by the encouragement of support of these people, and I know that my story is not unique. A couple of weeks ago, Ms. Kate Ross, the registrar of SFU, called to ask me if I would accept the great honor of speaking at Convocation. Of course, I instantly agreed, and then I hung up the phone and panicked. Did you know that fear of public speaking is the #1 ranking fear? Well, Ms. Ross had suggested that I reflect on my time at SFU as a means of uncovering what it was that I wanted to share with you today. So I thought about my practicum experience, my research, the people I've met, the perspective I've gained, and my thoughts continuously returned to one particular lesson that I've learned. The lesson is the value and importance of listening to and learning from the experience and perspective of others. And so I thought I would start there. And so my next research project began. I headed out and started asking students and graduates about their own experiences at SFU. I asked them the question, what does graduating from university, what does graduating from SFU mean to you? And then I listened. It was through these conversations that I was inspired to reflect on the notion of change. This word, this concept, was part of each and every conversation that I had about the meaning of graduating from university. And it is, in fact, the bond that links all of our unique experiences together. When we reflect on the past, the word change embodies the various stages and processes that we have experienced during our studies. We have all, as individuals, changed along the way. For some, graduating from university has meant growing up, becoming independent, or taking on the attributes of a leader. For others, it has been about finding a true passion and inspiration in your life. For others still, it has been about realizing that your parents were right, like usual, and realizing it's time to thank them for persuading you to go to university in the first place. And unfortunately, for most of us, it does mean that we're broke. Now, in terms of the present, this particular day, the notion of change simply reflects the change from SFU student to SFU graduate. But what if we consider the meaning of change in the context of the future? In the context of what next? This is certainly a question that's on all of our minds today. This is when the notion of change is in its most powerful and most important form as it becomes the potential for change. And what I mean by this is the potential to affect or make change not only in ourselves, but in the lives of others, in our communities, in our society, and eventually in the world. Or as we say in the Faculty of Health Sciences, the potential to be an agent of change. Knowledge, perspective, and commitment constitute the currency of change, and these are elements that we have each gained through our studies and individual changes over the years. It is with these elements in hand, and as university graduates, that we have great potential, and in my opinion, the responsibility to affect change and to be agents of change in this world. Margaret Mead, an anthropologist and an inspiring woman, said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens could change the world." I've always loved this quote, and so I've adapted it somewhat for today, and I'd like to say this. Never doubt that a large group of young, committed, knowledgeable, hardworking, and thoughtful SFU graduates could change the world. And I'll end today in a similar place that I started. That's the question to my fellow graduates. What are you going to change? Thanks for listening.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Lindsay. The members of the graduating class will now be presented to the Chancellor to be admitted en masse to their degrees. Will the graduands please stand? Mr. Chancellor, I present to you those scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University and request that you confer upon each one the degree for which he or she is now recommended.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to your various and several degrees. Will the graduands please be seated?
The members of the graduating class will now be presented individually to the Chancellor. But first, a few requests. Would you please refrain from applauding the individual members of the graduating class until each group of degrees has been conferred? Obviously, we can't stop spontaneous outbursts of enthusiasm. As a courtesy to others, please remain seated until the conclusion of the ceremony, and I would ask graduates to please return to your seats following the receipt of your degrees. The degrees in the Faculty of Applied Sciences, Faculty of Communication, Art and Technology, and the Faculty of Health Sciences will now be conferred. Mr. Chancellor, the Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Wade Parkhouse, will announce the names of the candidates for graduate degrees.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. The candidates will be hooded by Dr. Namal Rajapaksky, Dean of the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Congratulations. Dr. Rhonda Chater-Baldwin. Dr. Chater-Baldwin completed her degree in the School of Computing Science, and her senior supervisor was Dr. Kay Wang.
Congratulations, Doctor. Way to go.
Dr. Andrew Hendricks. Dr. Hendricks completed his doctorate in the School of Computing Science, and his senior supervisor was Dr. Kay Wise. Dr. Jeffrey Mullins. Dr. Mullins completed his doctorate in the School of Engineering Science, and his senior supervisor was Dr. John Bird. Dr. Rahali Salari Sani. Dr. Salari Sani completed her doctorate in the School of Computing Science, and her senior supervisor was Dr. Chang Salnhelp. Dr. Jing Wang. Dr. Wang completed his doctorate in the School of Engineering Science, and his senior supervisor was Dr. Ji Liang. Thank you. Dr. Derek John Simons. Dr. Simons completed his degree under special arrangements under the Dean of Graduate Studies. His senior supervisor was Dr. Robert Anderson. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Applied Science in the Faculty of Applied Science. Mona Rabar. Shashi Shani. Jamie Westell. Song Ji. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree Master of Engineering in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Bogan Tabakalon. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Science in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Paryam Alyar. Nima Bastiani. Neda Chenjizi. Ann Clifton. Ali Kamali. Tian Lan. Kong Lee. Yuban Shen. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. Dorothy Christian. Christopher Jashelnik. Sonyo Weaver. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree Master of Fine Arts in the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. Stefan Schmolzwitz. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree Master of Publishing in the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. Chrissy Campbell. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Science in the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. Shahin Shidi. Veronica Samita. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Public Health in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Lauren Curry. Lindsay Galway. Kira Ishmael. Emily Jenkins. Jessica Johnson. Brenda Colleen Kent. Kimberly Kaur Uzan. Lisa Lazarus. Melinda Markey. Tia Mong Mong. Catherine Muldoon. Brasilia Negath. Ansha Parzuji. Shipra Raju. Eliza Seaborn. Haley Turnbull.
Mr. Chancellor, the Dean of Applied Sciences, Dr. Namal Rajapakse, will announce the names of the candidates for undergraduate degrees in his faculty.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Applied Science in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Farshad Abazi, Zina Afrous, Michael Edge, Anton Asikowski, Stefan Sherney, Datish Danesh, Priyanka Deshmukh, Kamya Gomi Osogi, Pranav Gupta, Andrea Heroshik, Bernard Kajfad Sare, Johnson Lamb, Brian Lee, Eric Lung, Simran Sarai, Hela Sharif, Babak Sobani, Chung Hai Won, Joseph Won, Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Alexandro Andron, Ryan Bonovics, Ramanpreet Butta, Mohammad Kaniago, Trevor Chu, Norius Dustui, James Duan, Christopher Farrell, Ana Flores, Ryan Fun, Mark Gino Gomez, Daniel Graham, Johnny Ho, Remy Ho, Jared Karim, Alan Lerner, Biao Lu, Wei Chang Lu, Sam Louis, Andrew Morris, Farshad Panahi, Carl Pianka, Richard Rusley, Justin Scott, Ryan Shea, Gladys Errol So, Terence Sung, Fei Wan, Dixon Vaughn, Jeremy Wong, Shawnang Wu, Bin Yan, Sheng Shuai Ying, Kevu Zhao,
Mr. Chancellor, the Dean of Communications, Art and Technology, Dr. Cheryl Geisler, will announce the names of the candidates for undergraduate degrees and diplomas in her faculty.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Faculty of Communication, Art and Technology. Nisha Anand, Lauren Aitona, Avneet Baines, Brian Barbosa, Curtis Beard, Robert Bornay, Nisha Borshettar, Aaron Brown John, Christiana Bruneau, Keely Kavanaugh, Jasmine Cham, Claudia Chan, Yankee Chan, Claire Cheung, Teresa Kaka Cheung, Brandon Chin, Hector Chu Joy, Chelsea Chiu, Lindy Coyne, no? Sophie Davido Dempsey, Tanisha Dam Wright, Tracy Duong, Sarah Amanda Eaton, Heather Forbes, Karina Foster, Caitlin Frost Gill, Sahara Gione, Billy Goldner, Amalia Halim, Carla Hansen, Alicia Hebner, Oscar Ho, Vincent Eep, Shinya Jin, Natasha Jung, Camille Karamali, Alexander Kennedy, Brooke Clausen, Chu Ying Kong, Sally Ho Zing Kong, Jeff Lamb, Emily Lau, Chung Yong Daniel Law, Hu Jiong Lee, Sun Min Lee, Janice Leong, Grace Leong, Thomas McLaughlin, Junie Madarase, Justin Ma, Maimar Mehaveritz, oh. Rebecca Mercer, Nicole Moisey, Lauren Mundine, Anil Nanda, Rosemary Newton, Winnie Nying, Courtney Novotny, Ella Ping, Nina Fan, Megan McGregor, Cynthia Potvin, Tamara Prevost, Teresa Quach, Kristen Ramsey, Sarah Rowling, Andrea Semenik, Brian Shearlaw, Joanne Shum, Nish Singh, Amy So, Stanley So, Daniel Young Jong Song, Aaron Steiner, Lillian Su, Seiko Suhiro, Mandy Tom, Cheryl Tan, Hai Xiong Jing, Mark Turcotte, Nilofar Vakili, May Vaughn, Susanna Vischer, Benedict Vu, Emily Wall, Henry Wang, Lu Wang, Yunji Wang, Kimberly Wee, Annie Wong, Ophelia Wong, Joseph Wu, Jack Yi, Kiwi Yu, Li Xiao, Lisha Xiao, Noah Xiaoni. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Fine Arts in the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. Teresa Alfeld, Ashley Chow, Kelly Dale, Jennifer Edwards, Olwyn Geeling, Dylan Innes, Philip Jack, Naomi Kozikoska, Philippa Myler, Gordon Nicholas, Sonia Shivago, Jeremy Thompson. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. Adrian Bisek, Chi-Wai Michael Chang, Timothy Chow, Matthew Lau, Era Pogoson, Yu Chia Teng, Hinley Si,
Mr. Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Dr. John O'Neill, will announce the names of the candidates for undergraduate degrees in his faculty.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Stacy Anaka, Callie Bannister, Sintung Chan, Sarah Costco, Lauren Diffley, Deanna Liang, Devin Pelly, Hannah Rose, Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Congratulations. Christina Chu, Dalit Dhaliwal, Colleen Ha, Joelle Panna, Sharanajit Sodi, Victor Wong, Cindy Yu,
Will the graduating class please rise? I'll wait till they all get back to their seats. Stretch a little bit. To the graduating class, I congratulate each of you on the completion of your degree. This is truly an impressive achievement, and I ask that your friends and family who are here today join with me in applauding the graduating class of October 2010. What a great class! Okay, now let's not forget the people who got you here. I want to now invite the members of the graduating class to reciprocate by applauding your family, your friends, your faculty, the staff, and all those who helped you to reach your goal. And please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this completes the formal awarding of degrees. Some candidates recommended by the Senate for degrees today are unable to be present, and their names have therefore not been read out. I now admit them to the appropriate degrees as shown on the program. Before we adjourn this afternoon, I have several thank yous to express. First of all, for all of you for joining us today on a not so beautiful day, but it's not raining. And to the many volunteer staff, faculty members, coordinated by Student Services and Ceremonies and Events Office, who have worked so hard to run a very smooth Convocation Day, thank you. And a special mention to the members of our 6-time world champion Simon Fraser University Pipe Band organization for their special contribution to Convocation. They will perform after the ceremony in Freedom Square behind the platform. This now brings a close to the formal part of this afternoon's convocation. So I ask you to please rise and remain standing at your places until the platform party has recessed.